Welcome to another exciting episode of Koffin Radio. I am Heartthrob Rob, and today I am joined by Kim Ferry, the Hair Fairy. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad that you were able to join me. I'm so excited. Like, it's just the wealth of everything that you've been able to do in your long career is so cool. I'm so excited. I mean, you've been, the Department of Head of Hair, slash hairstylist on.
Yep, sorry.
There we go. That
Just
was the
collapsed.
So, you've done shows such as Pretty Little Liars, The Office, ER, Pacific Blue,
Yeah.
Veronica Mars, Babylon 5, Bruce Almighty, Last Man on Earth, and Sneaky Pete. You've done so much, but, a couple of the highlights off the top of the show.
My favorite, you mean?
No. I was just saying those are some of the shows that you've been on, worked on, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worked on. I wanted to, you've done all those amazing shows, but I kind of want to start at the beginning, if that was okay with you. How did you first get into, doing hair, and, how did that bug bite you that you knew that that's what you wanted to do?
Wow. I think I was cutting my stuffed animal's hair at a very early age. So I think that was obviously my path. And my Barbies as well. I would braid them and everything. So it was kind of I don't know. I just always loved doing hair. And it served me well over the years. So yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
How do you think you first got into the business? What was your break into the business that you're currently in?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and I was working in a salon. I started at a Fantastic Sam's actually, and then worked there for about a year, and then moved into a salon, got a little more training, got a little more expertise, and then one day I was going to my mall. It was a neighboring town, and there was this huge production. And it was literally, I don't know if you'll even remember this, it was called Curly Sue. It was a movie with one of the Belushi brothers. So for Chicagoans, we love the Belushi. So anyway, I found this huge production and I watched it, and I really wanted to understand, wow, this is cool. How cool is this, what they're doing? They're making a movie. So I actually kind of snuck in and then met somebody, went up to the hair and makeup people. I didn't even know what to call them at that point. And basically said, wow, how do you do this? How do you get to do this kind of thing? Because this is really cool. And this woman, to this day, her name is Sam Mayer. I always tout her name because she literally spent 3 hours with me and told me all about the industry. But she said, you have to pay it forward. If anyone asks you ever in your life to, do the same thing that I'm doing for you right now, you have to do it. You keep the circle going. You keep people, if they want to come in, you want to be someone who educates them and talks to them. Will you do that? And I said, yes, I absolutely will. And I have to this day. So yeah, that's a lot of people have gotten in.
That's so cool. I mean, such a chance thing to happen, and look where it's led you. That's so amazing.
Yeah, it was very lucky. Just one kind person can pave your path for the rest of your life, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, very cool. Before we get really started to it, I also wanted to ask you, how did you get on Up All Night? I think we're the only two people that remember that. I loved that back in the day.
Yeah. What's funny is she wrote back to me.
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, so when I first moved here, I moved to California in 1992. Mm-hmm. And I had met a couple of people. One of them was a stand-up comedian. And then I went to a lot of comedy clubs. And sometimes I would be cutting hair outside. I was standing there, and I had Andrew Dice Clay was just watching me cut hair, and we were just chatting. He's like, so what do you do? He's crazy. And I was like, you need to simmer down. And he was like, why don't you show me some karate moves? Because I was telling him I was on my way to my black belt. I was halfway there. And it was just, what a crazy world moving into California. But anyway, so yes, I get off track sometimes, so you'll have to
I enjoy it.
But yeah, it was really fun. So I was cutting hair. I was going to comedy clubs. Yeah, I was very lucky to meet a lot of people kind of in town right away and kind of start working in doing photography. I met a photographer, so I started doing actor headshots with them, and that got me some money. And then I ran into somebody who knew a friend who knew a friend who was starting this show called Babylon 5. So I looked into it and I ended up getting a job on it, and I was getting paid, less than $100 a week. But it was my start, and it was non-union. And then that's kind of how I really had my open door come right into that.
Yeah, I saw that, one of your first big things was Babylon 5. How was it? I mean, where you go from regular hair to just, working with prosthetics, I'm sure, and masks and all sorts of stuff that I'm not even aware of, right? Like, and then now you got to do hair on top of that. How was that, getting thrust into that world so quickly?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it because I had just been doing hair and I did makeup in the salon, and I did a lot of color. I was a colorist back then. And then coming to California and actually having a whole different thing, because you're not just in a set, you're not on in a salon where it's a very tight quarters and you're just doing hair. Like for what I do, I mean, I'm doing, 1940s, 1930s. I'm doing science fiction hair. I'm doing, random things that are so interesting. And then I learned prosthetics because a couple of guys who were doing that, I just wanted to learn everything. So anyone that would teach me, I would ask them and they would let me do it, thankfully. So I learned a lot in the first few years. And then within a couple of years of working on that show, I was a department head. And then I ended up getting to really, learn so much about all of those different arenas. Being a prosthetic person, being able to do bald caps, being able to do makeup, being able to do hair, it was great. And then I ended up getting in. So I became like a local 706. I get into the union.
I think you said that doesn't happen that often, where things turn union, right? And you got lucky for that to happen to you there.
Yeah, I guess I was very motivated when I got here. It was my whole agenda was to just learn and to, really find my path. And this is what I moved here to do. And I felt like back home, my parents didn't want me to come here, obviously. And when I first told them I wanted to move here, it was right when the Rodney King riots broke out. So it was
oh my gosh,
terrible timing on my part. But I will say, I'm grateful because I just said to them, I can't look. I could go there and I could fail miserably, and I would be okay with that. But if I don't try and I don't actually, move forward to the dream that I really want to have, then why wouldn't I follow that? So they eventually agreed, and they eventually, helped me move here and stuff. So it worked out.
At least you tried. I mean, that's so cool. You're like, you know what? I'm going to find out. Fight or flight. I'm going to go with it and see what happens.
Right. Yeah. You have to, right? It's your dream.
That's so cool. What do you think was your favorite or most memorable hairdo on that? Because obviously, like you said, it's something much, much, much different than what you were accustomed to. Probably what you had to do later on. So what do you think was the most memorable hairdo there?
Yeah, Centauri hair for sure. That Centauri hair with like these big fans. It was so cool. I got to do it exclusively, so I was really excited. I was the one doing it, and it's so much fun because I'd have this like cardboard fan kind of, and then I'd put the hair on it, and I'd be spraying it with this thing called oh gosh, what was it? It was a vac. It was spray that was so solid. It was like, once it was up, like that stuff was like up. It was great. I think I'm partially. Yeah, the problem for the ozone, I'm sure it's because of all the hairspray that I used on Babylon.
That's so funny. You went from one sci-fi show to another one after that as well, right? You went to, in 1999, you worked on the X-Files?
I did, yeah. I went to Crusade after that, and then I got onto the X-Files, which was my dream job because, oh my God, I used to watch it at home. Like, if anyone came in, I'm like, shh, X-Files is on. Like, the X-Files is on. I love this show.
I don't think people realize how big that show was. The people like looking back on it now, they're like, "Oh yeah, it was a cool show." No, they set the standard for episodic monster of the week type shows. You know what I mean? That would run so rampant in the '90s, early 2000s that we still see with shows like Supernatural or whatever. That kind of fit that mold. But I mean, X-Files was #1, that first show to really do that.
Yeah, everybody was watching X-Files, including me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you work on X-Files. Again, me and you remember how big it was. Whose hair did you like more, Mulder or Scully's?
Oh my gosh. So on that one, I was only the third. So you have kind of in a hair department, you'll have a boss. That's the department head. Then you'd have like a key. So that's your assistant.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd have probably a third helping you out. And then I was the third. And for the third, we used to do a lot of the stuff like Scully and Mulder would be on the main, like they would have a main unit, and then you'd have like the extra unit. And I was on the extra unit a lot because that was where people would come through. We had a lot of prosthetics. So when we would have to do prosthetics, very time consuming. And you need somebody there to be watching that. And I was that person there. So I was on the main unit sometimes, but most of the time I was off on location doing a lot of other things. Yeah, so just, being the third and taking pictures of people and, you know, doing all the close-ups and all the monster stuff, because that was really an important part of it too.
Oh, of course, you know, monsters, all that. I mean, that's every week, right? You know, something new, supernatural every week. Like I said, you've done so many shows. I can't go over every single one of them, but I just want to hit the highlights. In 2000, you worked on Even Stevens, you know, with Shia LaBeouf, who also went on to do major things. How was that for you?
So proud of him. Oh my gosh, he's such a good guy. He was a kid back then, but
exactly.
It was really fun. You know, that was it was a Disney show, very sweet. You know, the kids were great. So I really enjoyed that one.
That's so cool. I mean, time flies. At the time, you're just a kid, you know, but like just a few years, this is a full grown man, you know? I mean, it's crazy how time flies like that, you know?
Yeah.
I also noticed in 2001, you were in one of my favorite movies, or worked on one of my favorite movies, Rush Hour 2. How was that? Were you on that show as well? Or on that movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No go?
On that one.
You didn't like that one?
No. No, I loved that because I was a martial artist, so I was really excited to meet Jackie Chan, and he could not have been cooler. It was just like the best thing ever. And, you know, and he was just great. And then I ended up doing all of the stunt. So the whole stunt team, I would be doing their hair. And then at the end, many of them. And then the stunt doubles and everything I was doing. And then we had about sometimes 300 to 500 people in that casino. And that my job as a third was to manage all of them. So, you know, every day we'd have 300 people coming in and getting their hair redone from the night before and getting everything, you know, to match in that huge casino. And the casino had been abandoned, and so they were renting it. But it was just amazing because that was my first time really going on a location technically and being on a huge film like that, you know, they throw money at everything on that. And it was really quite an experience. I mean, I was so grateful to be there, but most of all, I was super excited to be hanging out with Jackie Chan. I loved him so much. We were teaching him English, and he was teaching us Chinese, so I still know, like, ni hao ma, you know, we had all the stuff we would talk about. He was great. He's just so cool.
At first, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I glossed over. I thought you were joking with Andrew Dice Clay earlier about your karate. I didn't know you were into karate. How's that going? Yeah. Did you end up getting your black belt?
No, I never finished because I started in Illinois, so I was halfway through. And then when I got here, I tried to look for a sensei, but I went to a few different schools, but I just didn't find anybody that I liked. I was so attached to my sensei. He was just such a good man. And here it was just different. And then it was very like Hollywood. It wasn't like a real traditional, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. So yeah. And then they gave me all the stunt guys gave me a really hard time about that. Cause I would tell them about it and they were like, yeah, you should have stuck with it. I'm like, I know, but I'm doing this now. This is my job.
What belt did you end up getting to?
I was, what was I? Well, I guess different schools have different things, but I was probably at, I don't even remember. Maybe a green. No, it wasn't brown yet. It was green. I think it was green. It was like, I think it was green at that point.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. In 2001, you also worked on Bubble Boy.
Yes.
Did you have a part in his iconic hair?
No, that was my, that
You're still working your way up. You're still working your way up at that time.
Yeah, I was, again, on movies.
Because you've only been in the industry at the time for like 6 years still. I mean, that's still relatively new, I'm sure, right?
What was that?
At the time, you're only 6 years into your career here, really. I mean, that's still pretty early in a career, I'd imagine, right? You're not the head person yet. I mean, it's still very early.
I was on Babylon 5. I became a department head on that.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So within 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
In the second year, I ended up becoming department head on that, and that was really great. And then I did learn a lot from that experience. And then on the next show, then Crusade, I was the department head on that as well. And then after that, I started going into, I found movies. So I did a few little movies and such, and that was really cool. But I was always, you know, then you're third or you're fourth on the show, or you're just an extra person coming in to help out.
Yeah. Okay, so you were helping out then on Bubble Boy.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
very cool.
Jake is great. He's so nice. What a cute guy. Oh my gosh.
Same thing with Cat in the Hat as well. And
Yeah, Cat in the Hat was longer. Cat in the Hat I was on for a bit, because it was a longer thing, and I was working. I actually was doing thing one and thing two. I did their hair and stuff. They were adorable. They were kids, and at the time I was actually pregnant, so that was interesting too. And yeah, and again, great people out of that show as well. I mean, Dakota. Anyway, great
yeah, you
kids
know,
everywhere.
in 2003, you also worked on another movie. You worked on Bruce Almighty.
Yes.
Uh, did you happen to meet Steve Carell then at that time? Did you guys happen to cross paths?
I did, yes. I was doing his wig. So when all of his hair catches on fire, that was the thing. So I was again the third on that one, and Medusa was running it. Great, great lady. She used to hang out with Frank Zappa. It was amazing. She had
Her
some
name was
stories.
her name again?
Oh, Medusa. Her name
Ah,
is
okay,
Medusa.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, she's super cool. So yeah, so she was very kind of. I ended up becoming the third, and I was just helping out there as well. But it was great to meet Jim Carrey. I'd always been a big fan of his, and then I had met Steve there because he was, the other anchor that was kind of they were vying with their little thing, and yeah, so I helped with. We had a scene where we had to do all the hair. It would catch on fire because Jim Carrey was willing it to, start burning. And we went through probably about 15 wigs or so. So I was just like, I helped. You have to put this like coat on the hair in a way. It's almost like a fire retardant so that it doesn't hurt anybody. And he was actually going to have it on his head.
Oh,
So
wow.
they have like a certain thing that they put over the head, and they put a certain gel that goes on them, and then you put the wig on top of that, and then they light it on fire.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, and Steve did part of it. I mean, it was great, and it was really, really great. And so I'm very lucky for that because I did get to know him while I was on that movie. So we had a rapport. So then when I got on The Office, it was like, oh, this is pretty easy. I know you. So, right.
That's cool. I mean, you guys had already
Yeah.
worked together in, such a crazy capacity already. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we had.
Let me try and brighten this real quick.
Sure. Yeah. Fritz.
There you go. Sorry, I was just want to brighten it real quick. No problem. So in 2004, you worked on Veronica Mars. Did you? What was your role there?
I established that show. So that was basically, I think they'd done the pilot. And then I did the whole basically first season then. So I finished the rest of the show. I loved it. And oh my gosh, I love Kristen Bell. She is an angel.
Oh my God, that's so
love
cool.
her. Love her.
She seems very sweet.
Yeah. And Enrico Colantoni too. Oh my gosh. They were just delightful to work with. So that was a fun job. But I had to move down to San Diego because that's where it was filming. So, sometimes in his life, you just go where the work is. And at that time, I did have a son, but I was traveling with my husband at the time. We just decided like, okay, well, we'll rent our house out here and then we'll just go down there for a while. And that's where the work was. So
Yeah,
it was fun to do.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
And then after that, you hit, I would think, your longest running show that you worked on.
Yeah, that little show called The Office, you mean?
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
2005, you land on The Office. What was, the first season a little bit different? Oh, sorry, you joined season 2, right?
Yes. So the first season was 6 episodes, and I was asked to do that. Yeah, but I didn't because I was still on Veronica Mars, and it had gone, I had a little time over that. So basically, as soon as Veronica Mars was done, I did say, absolutely, I'd want to do it. It's a producer that I'd worked with before on many shows. So I knew that I had the job. And then I watched the first 6 episodes and I was like, oh, I don't like his hair. It doesn't, I don't like it. So, yeah. So when I, had Steve come in the trailer, like we definitely just had a conversation, and it was a very simple one. Like we both kind of wanted to change the hair, and we talked about it, and then I did a version of it and he liked it, and that's how it was for the rest of the season. So
I believe in season 1 they were going more for like a Gordon Gekko, Money Street kind of thing, or is that what the vibe was?
Yes, that's exactly it. So, I guess the producers wanted him to be, more Gordon Gekko. They want him to be kind of slick, and for me, I just felt like it was a bit unflattering because it's just so slicked back and it's not very likable, and I just didn't. I wanted to make changes, and luckily, Steve did too. So we were all on the same page, and like I said, it was a very simple conversation. It wasn't a whole big thing. It's like, well, let's just sit down. I'll show you what I would like to do. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to change my hair too. I'm like, great. Let's talk about it. We talked about it, did a little blow dry, and yeah, it was it needed some lift. It needed, you know, to actually not be so tight to the head. It was just a little severe.
I think that you made him 10 times more likable. I don't think you're really supposed to like him in the first season. You know, I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love, you know, the character. I love Steve Carell as well. But I don't think in season 1 you're supposed to like him as much as you're supposed to, you know, relate to him more, I guess, a little bit farther on, you know?
Right. Yeah, but, that was my goal. That was my goal. Yeah.
I think they were originally, like, might have almost, you know, canceled the show, except they're kind of banked on 40-Year-Old Virgin being, like, a hit really big, and for that to, like, propel Steve Carell's career. And I think in season 2, I think you also helped with his hair. And I think that really helped with, you know, pushing the show and let's get it going. So I want to say thank you so much for, you know, doing that, doing your service, man. I don't know how the world would be without The Office. Yeah, you never know.
I got to tell you, so many people say that to me. They're like, wow, thanks for changing his hair.
It was weird, dude.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
I don't know how you did it. I mean, you gave the man 10 years worth of Rogaine in, you know, the span of a month or something. I don't know.
Didn't need it. It just needed to be, you know, it was just all this gel like smushed down. And if you just get to the hair and you like lift it up, you know, give it a little hairspray, bam, you're done.
Yeah. You totally worked it over. It totally made him more likable, you know, instead of this boss that you want to hate.
And that was it. It made him more likable. That was what I was going for. Yeah.
You got it, dude.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had your hands full with plenty of different hairdos on that show, plenty of different styles, gags, jokes, you know, anything.
So many. Oh, my hair smelled like peanut butter for days. Yeah.
How did you guys do Creed's hair when he did it black that one time with the Sharpie on the show? It's supposed to be that. What is that?
We have a lot of tricks in our hair trailer for sure. There's a lot of little things. You know, it's almost like a Halloween thing. You can get black spray paint and you can spray it into the hair. You can get a black mousse and you could, you know, spray it in and then you just kind of wipe it around the edges and clean everything off. Stuff like that you can use. And that's kind of what we did for him. I believe we did the black, it was like a foam and we'd put it in his hair. And then if it wasn't dark enough, then we'd just spray a little black on it.
Yeah, it's so hilarious. Again, just another slight gag, you know, that just is so funny. I think you also did Angela's braids. I think I saw a video of you doing her infamous braids that were kind of up, kind of down, right? Or I don't know how that, you know the term better than I do. I mean, you can see here, it's all one side. So, you know, you can probably describe it better than I can. Yeah,
they called it, she used to call it the headband braid, but now I literally call it the Angela braid. It's the Angela braid. So it's legally now, all intents and purposes, the Angela braid. And yeah, I know someday I want to do a video like of me braiding her hair. I think people would flip out in the Angela braid. But yeah, I mean, she was so great. She was so fun. I did a lot of the actors on the show, and her and Jenna were two of them, and we just had so much fun. I really enjoyed my job every single day.
I believe you might have gotten the Angela braids from Babylon 5, perhaps?
Yes.
I did my homework.
I did, you know, because at the time, I had 5 years of science fiction. And, you know, it couldn't be contemporary on that show. It had to be something where it looked like, you know, it's very futuristic. And for me, I mean, I was doing all these crazy, funky, weird hairs. And yeah, it kind of, I guess, transferred over because I brought it with me and I came to the office. And, you know, Angela's character was a very severe person. That's how they kind of wanted her. They wanted her to be very stern, very stiff, almost like German, you know, I'm just very focused. I don't need anyone to be looking at me. I'm very, you know what I mean? That was her whole image. And I tried, you know, I know though she wanted her hair down sometimes because it is a lot to have those buns in your hair every day. And it does hurt sometimes too for people. So I was trying to find a way to mix it up a little so she could have a couple of times where it's like, okay, you could just have some hair down and not feel so severe and so pulled back. So that worked out. When I did that braid and then I showed, you know, Greg Daniels, he was like, oh, I love it. That's perfect for you. And I was like, you know, he was like, yeah. I'm like,
mission accomplished again, dude.
Yeah.
What was the usual day on set for you?
Usual day. Well, first of all, obviously, I would go straight to catering and get my usual burrito or my tacos from catering.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would wander over to my trailer. So it's interesting if you've ever been there, which a lot of people have. And by the way, if you are going to go there, please don't climb the fence. It really upsets Tom Melby. So we don't want anyone to be trespassing because you will get arrested. FYI, for real.
Y'all better quit playing.
But obviously, you know, we all know that you love it. I love being there. I went there recently with the Office Funko Pops, actually. So I was, got him over there. And we got to see Tom Melby, and I showed him the thing. And they actually got some nice little pictures, which was cute. So, yes, being there is great. And for us, we had everything in one location. So we had a building where all of the writers would be, and the sound, and then we had everybody who was doing the editing. And then on our other stage, we had the main room, which had the main actual like office where they filmed a lot. And then we would go out on location occasionally, but we really had the whole lot to ourselves, which was great. And then it was funny because we also had like across the street we had like chop shops that were like breaking into cars. And then we had a lot of, it was nuts. And then we had like a funeral place that was burning things, and then and then a gun shop down there. Like it was really crazy on that street originally, and it's changed a little bit, but it's still kind of the same. So yeah, it was nice though, because we had our own space. We had our own place, and no one ever came there. We weren't on a lot, so we really could do kind of whatever we wanted.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You kind of hinted at it earlier, so I was going to ask you, what was it like putting the peanut butter all over Michael's hair? You reeked the peanut butter all day, huh?
I really did. My hands smelled like peanut butter for the rest of the day, hands down. Yeah, so what I would do when we had these gags that they would write and they would create, you know, I would always, every week you would get, here was my thing. I would also get a script every single week, and it would change a couple of times. They would rewrite a little bit. Mm-hmm. You'd have to read each one of them to make sure that you're going to really, you know, what has changed and what hasn't. And then we also have a production meeting every week that I would go to. So we all sit down, which would be, you know, the director, the producer, and, you know, anyone who needed to be there, hair, makeup, wardrobe, all of that. And then we kind of all talk about it and discuss it. So I know what's coming, which is great. You have to have that because you have to be prepared for whatever gag is going to come. And I loved those gags. I loved when Greg gave me that stuff. It was like my favorite thing in the whole world, because he would be like, you know, can you do, you know, 20 Halloween wigs? I'm like, sure. What do you want? It was great. I loved pleasing him. So yeah, for these little gags, when you have that, you have to kind of establish it. So I had to show them how to put it in, because you don't want to have just someone randomly start sliming everything, because we do have lights. We do have, you know, carpet on the floor. You don't want to ruin stuff. So you have to be very careful about how you do that. And for me, I just go in and I set it, and I, you know, got the peanut butter in my hair. I put it in the right area so it wouldn't drip too far on him and it wouldn't get in the way, but you could still see him. And then I took my hands out, and then I told Rain basically, like, just put your hands in here, follow this little area where I was, and it won't then drip in his eyes and we won't have to stop. So, you know, you kind of guide people, and that's kind of what I did. So every little thing, I would always be there to make sure I was watching. I would step away. I was always within probably 5 to 10 feet of them when they were doing stuff like that.
Really?
And then, yeah, I would always be close, because if he needs to wipe his hand, then I would hand a towel to Rain, and then I would also then, you know, go and check on Steve. And is anything feeling like it's getting in your eye or anything? You know, you have to watch all that, because we do have lights above that make it hot, and you know, that you do get hot in there too for when they have the lights all up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I wanted to ask you too, how long does it take when you guys, sorry, before I get into that, you said that, you know, sometimes you guys go over the script and things like that, or the productions, or what you're going to do. How much of that is improv on the show?
How much is that what?
How much of that is improv on the show? Is a lot of it improv, or how much of it is improv?
No, it's definitely a scripted show, but they would have alts there. So they're like other things that you could try once you get everything shot. So say they're doing a scene and they do it, you know, maybe 8 or 9 times, and they like it, then they're like, okay, let's try some alts too. So that means here's some extra things that the writers thought might be funny if you want to throw it in there. So you do some of that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that option, but then also, as in, you know, when Oscar and Steve were in the boardroom, and then he just decided to kiss him. You know what I mean? Because of that whole thing, like that was all Steve. That was all Steve. And it was hilarious. But yeah, that was just in, you know, Oscar went with it. So it was pretty great, I gotta say. But yeah, so sometimes stuff like that would happen, but they would just go with it. And those were actually usually probably the best takes, honestly. But yeah, you never know sometimes.
Oscar's real name is Carlos? Am I wrong? Oscar's real name Oscar?
Is Oscar.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oscar,
I don't know why I was thinking that. I saw that at Comic-Con last year. It was so cool. He does seem absolutely hilarious. You know, that's so cool that he went with that. You know, I heard that was improv. Yeah. And I think that's Oscar, like one of the funniest scenes.
Oscar never breaks. He was one of the people that never broke. Never. I think there was one time he might have, but literally, he never breaks. He's incredible.
How long does it take to film an episode?
Well, it depends on the episode. If it's a bigger one, normally you have probably about, what were we filming? About 8 days probably per episode, I think. If it's a bigger, like a wedding or something, you might add a day or two on. But if it's a normal thing, it's usually 7 to 8 days, I think.
That's very cool. Sorry, I know that's not here. It's kind of popping up as I'm coming along here. I think you also have a story about John Krasinski's the wig that he was rocking in the 3rd season. I think that was kind of your forte as well.
Yeah, that I thought I was going to lose my job. Yeah. So, you know, I will wrap. It's a long story, but I'll condense it quickly. So, you know, he had been offered a job to work with George Clooney, and he really wanted to work with him. So, and I wanted to facilitate that, but the problem was that the show that he was going to go on was going to be 1920s hair, which would mean his hair would be super short. And per contracts, a lot of actors have contracts, obviously. And, you know, once you're on a show, you can't change your hair or your look. It's part of your deal. But he really wanted to do it, and I wanted to help him. So we kind of talked about it, and sorry, I had to take a drink.
No, you're fine.
We talked about it, and he wanted to go ahead and make a wig. So I got in touch with my wig maker, and she came in very quietly and privately one day and went into his trailer, and we had a little discussion, and she did a wig fitting, and then she left. And what is great about the wig fitting is they literally mark like your hairline, and they do the direction of your hair. They look at everything, and then within a week or so, sometimes 2, you can get them, you know, done. And she brought him back. We put it on. It looked great to me. And so then we ended up kind of, you know, being very excited about that. And we did a take with his wig on. We didn't tell anybody. And then and then thought, you know, the next day in dailies, then we could go back in and we could say, hey, what did you think about dailies on, you know, that thing? And what was interesting was, you know, it didn't work like that, because he then after we were done, it was the basketball scene we were shooting at the Wallace's house, at the big mansion that he had. And it was after he was doing the basketball game, and then right after, I go to the trailer, and John's on the trailer. I go, hey, where did John go? And one of the ADs said, oh, he just took off. I go, he took off? He took off where? She goes, to go talk to Greg. And I'm like, what? He what? So I was like, okay. And I literally had my set bag on still, and I like just walked in the trailer. I'm like, oh my God, where's he going? Like, why is, okay. So I like I remember grabbing my purse, and I like ran out of the trailer, and they were going to move all of our stuff back. We were moving back over to our stages. So I go to try to find him. I run up the stairs, and, you know, and then I'm sitting down, and I go, hey, and I had like ran up the stairs, and I basically kind of talked to, the receptionist was there, and she was like, oh, you know, are you looking? I go, have you seen John? She's like, yeah, he's in with Greg and with, you know, the producer. And I was like, can you let him know I'm here? And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? So I sit down on the couch, and I see BJ, because right where you sit in front of, Greg's office is right there. Then to my left is the writer's room, and you can see them, and they usually have the door open unless they're being very, you know, secretive about something. But yeah, so they're there. And BJ sees me, he comes out, he goes, hey, he goes, Kim, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, you know, and he goes, is this about John's hair? And I go, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you know, I mean, I know he wants to do that movie and stuff, but you know, I mean, I would know if it was a wig. And I go, wait, did you say you saw John come in here? He's like, yeah. And he walked in. He's like, yeah, because I knew he still had the wig on.
Yeah.
So I was like, you didn't know it was a wig. So then I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, that's kind of a relief. And then literally the door opens, and my producer says, Kim, you want to come in here? And I was like, I literally said this. I looked at him, I go, it was really nice working with you, BJ. And he was like, what? And I was like, see you later, buddy. And I walked in. And when I walk in, I look and I see, so my producer's there. I see Greg at his desk. I see John in the corner, and I see the wig off right in front of Greg Dandis. I was like assessing the situation. And I'm like, this isn't good. Yeah, basically there was a conversation that was taking place, and I won't get into all of it, but in the end we won. It was really good. So yeah, you know, Greg literally said, you know, I was upset with him, and he was, you know, John was trying to basically persuade Greg, like, look, and he was wearing the wig. He's like, look, I'm telling you, you won't know that it's a wig. Like, I can find somebody who will do a really great job. You'll never know. And Greg's like, you know, and he's like this close to him talking. He's like really close. He's like, no, buddy, I'm going to know. Like, I just don't want to, you know, take the risk. I don't like, it was that kind of a conversation.
Yeah, they're into it.
And he's like, really? And he throws it down. Apparently that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was horrified. I'm not going to lie. It was so insanely crazy. And what bothered, you know, I was really proud of that moment because nobody actually really realized he was wearing it. So it proved our point all along. You know, you can do these great things because we are skilled artists and we know what we're doing. But it also was really bad because I get frustrated when people, you know, for that first whole time we were shooting, nobody knows. But then when news started coming out, when they saw him filming with George, everyone's like, oh, I knew it was a wig. I'm like, no, nobody knew. No, you didn't. You didn't.
I was just going to tell you that's how I was going to end it with, dude, I think people now can like, that everyone's on the comments and can kind of tell or whatever. At the time, and if you were just to watch the show, you don't know. I did never realize until years later. I'm like, oh shoot, it is a wig, blah, blah, and then you go look, and then you're like, okay, let me take a look. Okay, yeah, sure. You would never know. I mean, I watched the show when that happened. We had the movie with George Clooney, Leatherheads, or whatever it might have been. No, I totally thought it was his real hair. Didn't think that he cut it for that at all. So it's only because, you know, I'm a loser on the internet about this stuff that, like, you find something out like that. So that's so cool.
No, thank you.
I also think that you, during that time, you drove an X-Earth. Is that right?
An Xterra.
Yeah. No, in the show they said X-Earth. That's what he says. That's a joke. Yeah, he goes, X-Terra. X-Terra means Earth. You drove an X-Earth? Yeah, so that was your car, Andy's car?
Yes, that was my car. And, you know, the funny thing is they said, hey, you know, we want to have, because we always had, you know, show cars, right? But then they needed another one. They're like, well, we want, I guess Andy's character had evolved a little, and they wanted him to have like an SUV. They thought it would be funny. So I happen to have one. They're like, hey, could we just borrow your car and have it parked over here? And I'm like, are you going to wash it? He's like, sure. Okay, great. Then I'll do it. Okay, I never got the car washed, by the way. So that was a fall thing.
They owe you one.
But the interesting part of this is, so he would be driving that a little bit sometimes, and I would park it over there when they need, or I'd just hand my keys to Transpo. They'd be like, hey, we're using your car today. I'm like, take the keys, you know? And so that was fine. I didn't care. I was there anyway, so it didn't matter. But yes, then when we got into the whole Cornell thing with, you know, Dwight besting Andy out of the car, it was bad because here's the thing. It was my actual car that I drove every day. And Randall Einhorn, I think, was the producer, the director on that. And Rain, you know, is Rain. He does what he does.
Great.
He does what he does. He's very into it. So when the director's saying, okay, you know, Rain, he's like, Dwight, you got to, you know, you hate this guy. You really want to, you're pissed off. And I'm like, you need to scratch that Cornell sticker off the back of that truck. And so he did. He had a razor blade and he was scratching my car. And then he's like, hey, you should run around to the front and jump on the hood. So Rain like jumps on my hood and starts jumping up and down. And I'm like, I'm there watching him. I'm there for touch-ups. And my poor man who ran transportation department, he was watching it for fun at first. Then he starts going, oh my God. And I'm like standing right next to him. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were going to do this. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not worried because I know production's going to cover it. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I guess. I don't know. So yeah, he just jumped on it and beat the crap out of my car. And, you know, I wish we had, I still have to reach out to one of our editors to see if he had it, because I feel like they can't find the footage, and maybe that's because they were worried I was going to kill Rain. but it was funny. It was just kind of a crazy thing. And yeah, and in the end, he did about $4,000 worth of damage to my car, and I had a rental car for like 3 weeks. So.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. I mean, but now it's forever a legacy, you know, forever you can see your car on television there.
Oh, you know what? I still have I should have pulled it out. I have the actual, like, they gave me all the extra Cornell stickers, and I have the actual, like, one that they made. They gave me a lot of good stuff. I could run really quick and grab it out of my
Go for it. Go for it.
You want me to?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'll go get it.
Okay.
Talk about something to your people.
There you go. I'm super excited. She's going to get the Cornell stickers here. That way we can join Cornell. She'll be here in a minute. I'm going to lose everybody. Hi. So many questions I want to ask. I feel bad bugging. They're all so good.
Okay.
She got him. She ran and got him. There she is.
All right. Hold on. So yeah, the prop department was kind enough to actually save these for me. So these are some of the stickers that were on there. And let me open this up. Hold on. Oh, yeah, here it is. So this is the original.
No way! That's so cool, dude. Official prop right here.
Yeah, this is the only one they made. So yeah, there it is.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's so
Fun.
cool. But now it's forever legacy, you know. And now you got a new car, or you know, they hooked you up, and it is what it is.
It is. I know. Let's see. Let's see what else we can find. Oh, here's the Cornell. Okay, so that's the Cornell. It was the back.
Sticker. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you get to take home any other props? Did you get anything that you kind of liked or wanted?
That was fun.
That was fun. Was that your favorite episode to film?
Well, the Lice episode was my favorite, but yeah, this was the close second for sure. The weddings were great. I love doing all the weddings.
Is Lice where you burnt Merida's hair?
What?
Was Merida's hair lighting on fire? Was that that episode, Lice?
No, Lice. Well, that lighting on fire was a different one. That was when they were she got drunk.
Yeah, Meredith.
He gave her too much. Right. It was
Season
Moroccan
5.
Christmas.
There you
I think
go.
it's Moroccan Christmas.
You're
so
right.
That was the lighting on 100%. Fire. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I know the show. And then, yeah, my favorite though was Lice, because that was a 3-week prep for me to try to design how to. Greg Daniels really wanted her to shave her head, and I didn't want her to do that. He was very insistent, like, well, just shave it, it'll be funny. And she's like, no. And she's like, don't let him. And I'm like, I won't. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we had, we hired the godfather of bald caps. He's an incredible makeup artist, and Ed French, and he came in and just did an outstanding job with all the prosthetics. And then I went and got wig hair. I got hair for the strip that she has, and all the crazy things that we had in there. Let's see. I wonder if I've had anything else. Oh yeah. Oh, this is one, like, when I would do wig stuff. This is Kelly's clown when she was one of the Halloween episodes. So I would kind of walk in, and these are
Greg
like
Andy
show
or
and
something.
tells. So they're show and tells. So I would say, hey, Greg, which one out of these do you like? And he would pick one and be like, okay, great, thanks. And I'm out. So I just kind of
You're
do a lot
answering
of showing.
you're answering these questions right before I get to them. I swear I was just gonna ask that question. When
Yeah.
you do like toupees or wigs or something like that, when Dwight had his wigs and Kevin had the toupee for Niagara, is that you as well? Is that what you got going on?
I did every single wig on that show for the entire run.
Oh, very cool.
I loved it. Yeah, every single one. I love doing wigs, and I wouldn't let anyone else do them. And honestly, I needed to kind of be in control of that because Greg would have very specific details of what he wanted, and which I appreciate. That's always great. When someone knows what they want, you can definitely, facilitate that. So for me and him, I was very lucky because he would tell me kind of what he wanted, and I was able to then, do it. And then I would send pictures to him, and it was just easier because if you get like 3 or 4 different people involved trying to make different wigs, then it's not really, you know what I mean? It's just a little complicated. So I wanted to kind of control all that because we had so many wigs on that show.
Oh, absolutely.
All the Halloween episodes, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. I have it here. The lice episode. That's the mayonnaise episode, right?
Yes, well,
That's what I.
yeah.
So sorry. Yeah, I just have all my notes here.
But there was
how
no
was filming
mayonnaise.
that?
There was no mayonnaise in that.
No mayonnaise there.
No
Okay, what were you guys
mayonnaise
doing?
harmed in the shooting of that episode. Yeah.
What was it?
No, you can't do mayonnaise because, again, we have a lot of lights, and the lights and the heat would be very gross. It would make everything smell awful because the mayonnaise would smell disgusting. So what I learned, obviously, in my past as being a cosmetologist and working in salons, what we do is you give these scalp treatments. It was one of the things that you do as a school student, as a beauty school student. It's this really sweet smelling cream, and it looks a lot like mayonnaise, but it smells delicious, and it's very conditioning for your hair. So it's really nice. So for that whole time that they were there, that's something that I had. I bought a couple of big jugs from it, like 2 or 3 big gallons. And then we just would do it, at the time that they were all having their hair in there. So they liked it because their hair actually felt really good at the end of it. It wasn't dried out. It was like, it smelled really good. They were having fun making designs in their hair. It was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time on that one.
Did you also dye BJ's hair?
I did.
Oh, okay. And it was real dye, not some trick kind of thing?
We bleached it, and then we put a toner on it. And we did it really late at night. It was actually kind of crazy because at the last minute he decided to do it. And I have a whole book of, let me see. I know I had pictures of him. Oh, yeah. So we had this thing where I haven't showed this to anybody, so you guys are lucky.
Ooh, exclusive.
A new one.
I love it.
So they pulled up this website at some time, and they said, hey, we want to make him change. He wanted to go a different color. So they had all these little things that they printed and they gave to me. So we had these. It was like, there's this, right? It's so funny. And then there's this. And then there's, there's dozens more from there. So that was kind of funny. So, and then we just kind of talked about the look, and we decided what we wanted, and he wanted to go blonde, but short. So it probably after work, I ended up staying late, and I started to bleach it, and I was like, oh wait, I don't have any toner because we didn't know we were going to do it that night. So it just kind of happened, and they just wanted it done. So I had to send one of my people to go. I'm like, please go get toner, get everything we need, bring it back. I'll start doing the bleach, it'll lift. And by the time, she got back, it was good timing. We put the toner on, and your hair, especially when you have black hair like that, it can get very orangey when you're trying to lift it, and it just won't get past that. So you need that extra kicker, which is a toner. So she went and grabbed that. We threw it on. It looked, I let them go home, and I stayed and dried his hair and showed it. And then we went up and showed Greg, and everything was great. So it all worked out.
who do you think has the best, whose hair has the best story arc for you?
Oh my, that is a hard one because I think there were so many. I mean, Angela's hair evolved, as did Jenna's, and certainly Kate went through so many things that, that's a tough one. I would say, but it's got to be between Angela, Jenna, and Kate, I think.
Okay. I think maybe I was guessing Pam, but you were hands on their daily doing more than I ever possibly could. You know what I mean? So if you say it's a three-way tie, it's a three-way tie, you know?
Yeah, that's a hard one because they really didn't remember. And then she had all those changes with wigs and all that stuff too. Kate did. So I think the three of them really, out of everyone, those are the three that really had a lot of stuff because they did their situation changed. I mean, one was not married and she's falling in love with someone. You know, her progression of her hair for Jenna really changed because she was actually falling in love with someone. So she didn't care about her hair at first, really. And then, you know, you really see a change in her. And she really, really does have a change. And same thing with Angela. She's very hard and, you know, frustrated and mean to people. But in the end, she, you know, she finds the guy that she really wants too. So they all have this evolution, I think, which is really, really a great evolution.
Absolutely. Can you tell us the story behind Pam's hair clip?
The clip that I gave her, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah. You know, that was, do I have one here? I think I might. I know I had them here the other day. Yes, you know, it's just a basic clip that I don't know that they make anymore. So
Ooh.
I actually found some. Gosh, I know I had some here. That's funny. I think I did recently. Yeah, so that was just like one of these random little clips that I found in New York when I was working on Sneaky Pete, and they had a whole bunch of them, and every single one of them, I grabbed the entire pack and I grabbed them because they're a little sentimental to me, which is weird, but they're, you know, they're running out. So I feel like I want these, I want to have them. Yeah, so those clips, it was kind of like the clip that she used a lot. We would change things up a bit, but that was the one that was like kind of the go-to clip for us. And then at the end of the show, obviously, I mean, if you know or don't know, you know, I was very close to all these ladies. I mean, they were very kind to me, and I was really friends with everybody. And at the end, I decided I wanted to give a gift to Jenna, so I kind of framed her actual clip that we used all the time, and then I put it in this little like box with glass, and it was a whole kind of sentimental thing. So
That's so cool.
she still has it up on her wall. And then I did the same for Angela recently. I gave her some of her cat clips that I made, and she has that up in her, that's what she shed.
That's so cool. What do you miss most about the show? I'm so sorry.
Everything.
Really?
Everything. I miss everybody. I miss going to that job every day. I miss having the fun that we had, and I miss my friends. You know, we all kind of split up and kind of, you know, went separate ways. When you get off of a show like that, yeah, you just, you know, everybody goes different directions. So yeah, I missed the whole thing. It was a great job. It was the best job I've ever had.
Wrapping up about The Office, what do you think? Why do you think it resonates so much with people? Why do you think it's still such a hit? People are still in love with it. Every new generation is falling in love with it. It's not even like it was that long ago, but I mean, the more it's on Netflix, the more it's on television every year, everyone seems to fall in love with it. Why do you think that is?
Because you relate to it in the weirdest way. I think, you know, obviously we're in a time of COVID. It's a very stressful, confusing, upsetting time. And I think you need comedies like The Office because you can laugh and it's okay to laugh. It's, you know, I think it's a very important time, actually. The show was great. And now, again, back then, you could get away with it. Now, a lot of things have changed, obviously. But you still can relate to it. And I think, you know, the characters at heart are not bad people. They really do care about each other. They are a family in a way. And even though they sometimes hate each other and are mad at each other and bicker and fight, in the end, you know, at the very, very end, they all came together. And I think it's just such a great show. I'm so proud that I was just a small little part of it. I really am. I feel very lucky to have been on that show.
That's so cool. I mean, but you have plenty of stories. You were there day to day, you know, I mean, for 9 seasons.
Every day.
You know, eight full seasons. Yeah. That's so incredible. That's so cool. I'm astounded to be talking to you with something that I watch every night to crash out. You know what I mean? You're going to hear that background music playing every, 22 minutes right before I crash out before bed.
Aw, that's good.
That's so cool. Yeah. I wanted to keep going. I don't know if this thing's going to end. I don't know if 1 hour is the limit. So we've probably been on maybe like 10 more minutes. But after that, you still went to work with Mindy Kaling on the Mindy Project in 2012, right?
I did, yes.
I mean, like you said earlier, you had rapport with Steve Carell, and now you got the rapport with Mindy Kaling. How was working on that show?
That was fun. I was excited because it was going to be her show, and you know, it was called the Mindy Project at the time. And then, you know, I really wanted to do it, but I had to stay on The Office, and yeah, it kind of was a little thing. I wish I could have continued to work there because at the time it was kind of breaking off, and it was yeah, it was a bummer. I had to kind of stay as a department head at The Office, which I wanted to do, but I know Mindy was then kind of going to the other show too. She was going to take the other job eventually and do her own show and stuff. So unfortunately I didn't get to go on that forever with her. But that would have been really fun because she's fantastic. She's an incredible comedian. She's such a good writer, and she's such a good human. She's really
hilarious. She's so cool. You switched it up a little bit differently in 2013. You went on Pretty Little Liars, another huge, ginormous show. What was that? I mean, you go from a corporate setting, you know, working 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, you know, job type people to, you know, high schoolers. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. So here's the thing. I had the job for Pretty Little Liars. And I knew about it. I had
2 minutes left.
Oh, it's okay. So I'd interviewed, and the night that I wrapped on The Office was a Sunday night. And I started Pretty Little Liars Monday morning. And because we went 3 weeks over on our production, and they kept telling me that it wouldn't be, but it did. So it kind of got interrupted. So yeah, I went straight on to a show right after that. So it was a very crazy time, but it was really sad to drive away that night. It was very hard for me to drive away.
People love that show as well. Another huge, big show under your belt. That's so cool, you know? We
that was a big one.
Just a minute, 20 seconds here left. I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people follow you? Where can people get these stories about The Office? What can we do to follow you on social media?
Yes, thank you for that. Hair Ferry. So it's HAIR and then FERRY, like a boat. Hairferry.kim. That is me. Come find me. You will like it. I have a lot of fun content on there, I hope, for you.
Then that's how we connected. I love everything that you do for The Office. I love everything you've worked on. You're still working on amazing things. Make sure you guys follow her Instagram. It's very cool. Stories every day about something. It's very cool. And I couldn't be happier that you're on the show. Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. It's good
for
to see
Kim,
you finally.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Heartthrob Rob. Thank you for watching Koffin Radio. If you like what you're watching, then hop in the Koffin. Follow us on social media at Koffin Radio. Koffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.